Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the Live Life Golden Show. This is episode 42. The story you tell is the one you create. Change your story, change your life. So, we're going to talk about stories today. I think it's the perfect time as we're coming into a new year to clean up those things and to start letting go of what's not working for you. You can make solid decisions, when we come to a new year. People have this idea and this belief system that when we let a year go, the new year is going to be very different. And, you can do that at any time of your life. Like you can flip a switch at any moment in your life, but the new year makes things easier. Because of the belief systems and the societal programmings, it's easier to let the year before go. So as we come into this new year, we can make solid decisions and make solid intentions around the year. This is why the gyms are crazy the beginning of January, because everybody makes that solid decision to be healthier. And, then by February, they kind of peter out. And this is why. There is a reason why that happens. And I'm going to help you today to activate and prepare the energy to create some sort of momentum. So when the year does flip, you're already in the energy field. You've already activated a lot of energy to put you in the place of success. And identity creation, I'm going to talk about identity creation today, is one of my favorite subjects. And that's, how do I become what I say I want to be? What do I have to do to become what I say I want to be? And your story is a big part of it. So I've been doing a lot of story work lately in my own life, and the stories and things that I attach to things that are happening around me. So often we live this very conditional life, right? So we live life by default. Things happen to us. We make a judgment. We make a perception. We have a belief about it. And that's what creates. That's the story. Your story is made up of the judgments, the perceptions, and the beliefs. And guess what? All of those things are hinged on your past. Your past, the things that you've experienced in the past. So our judgments, perceptions, and beliefs, if they're creating our reality, they're creating our present moment awareness, right? Our present moment construction, like what happens in our present moment, then everything that's happening is based on our past. And so this is about breaking up with that past. It's releasing the past and it's deciding anew. It's deciding and considering something new for what you want to create moving forward. The only way to do that is to create the space, to have the awareness, right? To have enough awareness and enough space between your mind and what you decide. That's a meditation practice, baby. And if you don't have one, I'm going to highly recommend that this is the year you start. So we have M21 Revolution is on Facebook. It's a free group. We do donation-based challenges, but there's hundreds of challenges in there. We have like 3 years of challenges in there where you could start on day one, and then every day you call yourself to the plate. You call yourself to the accountability of meditation. Meditation is a non-negotiable practice for me. There may be days here and there that I let it go and that it doesn't happen, but for the most part, it is part of what I do. It's just part of who I am. And I know that it is a huge part on me becoming more, on me up leveling into that intuition, into that clairvoyance, into knowing who I am and knowing how to create and getting a handle on your reality so that you become that deliberate creator. You become that person who is able to have some sort of say over your life. Many of us think we have no control over this shit, especially if you look at the last couple of years and you think, everything that you ever thought you had control over has been taken away by some powers that be. It's time to just cut that shit out. Like, if we want to live in this amazing world and we want to live in a world where we love and we feel joy and we're abundant, we've got to let all that stuff go, and we've got to make solid decisions over where we're going to tune our frequencies this year. Am I going to spend time in conspiracy theories? Am I going to spend time listening to the news? Am I going to spend time talking about the bullshit? We've got to cut this stuff out if we want to tune into higher frequencies, because those are all of lower frequencies. Now, the last few years have been a huge part of us releasing a lot of stuff, healing a lot of stuff, letting a lot of stuff go. making, really solid decisions around the way we want our lives to play out. But many of us have given our power away, time and time again, just given our power away, talked about shit that we didn't want to talk about, talked about what we didn't want to happen, got fearful about what we thought was going to happen. And now is the time to take all of that back. You can do this. And the more of us that do this, the more powerful we become. One person who is in alignment with higher consciousness, one person who is in alignment with who they truly are, is more powerful than a million who are not. Isn't that fantastic? One person being in alignment, knowing who they are, knowing what they're worthy of, knowing that they have the power to create, is more powerful than a million who are not. So we have the power and we can take it back. And that's what I believe this next year is bringing. 2022, 222 is an amazing sign. It's amazing. It's an amazing infusion of new energy. That's what's happening right now. I can feel it. I know this year is going to be one that we are, if you are listening to this podcast and you are really interested in taking your power back, this is going to be the year. This is going to be the year for you where you're going to be able to change those old stories and step into that identity that you say you want to be, that identity that you say you want to create from. Okay, so Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. We had a really weird Christmas. Our Christmas actually starts today. So my oldest daughter is flying in from Connecticut right now, which is why I'm doing the podcast today, which is Sunday, and I will release it today, and then that will be this week's podcast. But she is on her way here. So she was supposed to fly in Christmas Day, and her flight got canceled. So we had to just go with who was here yesterday and what we had going on. We had our granddaughter and her mom, our second daughter, and then our baby daughter was here. And so, that could really lend to some misery, when you're waking up and you're just like, oh, what's happening? Christmas Eve was interesting because my daughter was supposed to come over with my granddaughter, and they were tired from traveling. She had to go get her from Arizona. So they didn't come over, and we ended up just wrapping presents and having a beautiful filet mignon dinner and just being together, watching a Christmas movie and being like, hey, this is all right. This is cool. We're doing this. We're creating our own realities. We're creating our own joy. And we're not wrapping a story around stuff. It's so easy on these holidays, these Hallmark holidays, these belief systems that we have to get together with tons of family and do these things. We come from Connecticut, where we used to have at least 30 to 40 people over every Christmas day and put on this huge display. And it was wonderful, and you can really miss that, and you can really romanticize about that and be sad. They're all together. They're all still together. And it would be easy for us to tune into the frequency of sadness, but we choose not to. We're like, these are our holidays and we get to create them and say what they are. So yesterday, my granddaughter and my daughter and my younger daughter came over, and we unwrapped some presents. And a 4-year-old is interesting. They can be pissed that they didn't get enough presents, and that is what it is. I don't take that personally. And I think she was hungry. There was some of that stuff going on. So we made a nice breakfast, and then we took a nap, which is wonderful. And and then the rest of the day was just kind of like laying around playing with the Barbie house, and it was great. Like, it was fine. And then we had this nice dinner together and kind of snuggled on the couch in front of the fire. And it was great. It was great. And it didn't need to be anything different. And so the story that I'm watching myself play out is my mind's tendency wants to go down that, this is how is this even going to be a Merry Christmas? It's so hard for a mom when all of her kids are not together. So it's a story. It's just a story. And the story that I continued to tell yesterday was, this is wonderful. It was so nice to hang out with my youngest daughter because, she's 18 and she's going through some stuff. And lately I feel like I can't really say the right thing. You ever get into that with your kids or with a person where you just feel like everything you say is wrong. So you have a tendency to be quieter. And I have a tendency now not to seek her out, where I used to seek her out and wanted to connect and wanted to talk. And now I'm just like, I'm kind of creating some space because I know when I say the wrong things that it just creates a bigger space between us, more contention between us. So I'm really working on that. So having her around yesterday and not having to remind her of what I didn't like that was going on was wonderful. And that's a story, right? I'm wrapping a story around her. So if you are a parent and you have kids who are not necessarily doing or living a life that you think they should be, my advice would be to pull back, not pull back from your relationship, but just pull back from your tendency to decide things about them and your tendency to look at things that are not right about them, and start looking for things that you really love about them. I loved having her around yesterday. She was so in my granddaughter's world. They were rolling out cookies and they made gingerbread cookies together and decorated them, and they were playing with her toys and doing crafts. And my daughter loves that. I'm like, you're literally like getting to relive your childhood through this, through your little niece. And that's awesome. So I really enjoyed that. I really love that. We had Christmas music playing all day. And it was nice. It was really nice. And it didn't need to be different. There wasn't a story that I needed to wrap around it. And, I guess too, having the excitement of today and knowing that my daughter and her husband are flying in today was great. But I did check my excitement on that. I really, I tend to get overexcited about things. And so I'm working on just being more neutral and just kind of having a flow, because when you get overly excited about things, then if something goes wrong, you've got a huge attachment about it. And then you get really super disappointed. So I would have these high highs and then these low lows, right? And because her flight got canceled on Christmas Day, I was like, we don't even know what's going to happen. So I'm just going to like release all my attachments. That's where I am in life, just releasing my attachments to what I need to happen and just trusting that it's all going to work out. Because if for some reason she doesn't get here today, I needed to be okay with that, because, the flights and things. And I just trust that when she does come, it's going to be perfect timing. So when we woke up to the text this morning that she was in Dallas, it was kind of a little relief and like, oh yeah, now I can get excited because she's going to be here in a few hours. So what's your story? Like, what stories are you wrapping around the different elements of your life that are creating? They're creating your reality. So where you are today is because of the story you wrapped around yourself, your circumstances, different elements of your life. And that is what you're creating from. The other piece of this, which is really interesting, is your responses are what actually conduct the next moment. So if the present moment is based on your beliefs, your judgments, and your perceptions, right, from the past, then moving forward, you have the ability to create new judgments, beliefs, and perceptions to create new energies, which is all based on your response, right? And that response, if your responses are like super triggered and your tendency is to kind of live in this triggered state and to be upset about things and in resistance all the time, which is mean you're fighting against the energy and things are not working out. So you're trying to fix everything and you're trying to like push everything into place, then you're not allowing the flow and you're not in your co-creative partnership with the universe, God, source, whatever you like to call it, because you're trying to make things happen on your own, which is much harder. And it actually slows the energy down. One of the greatest things that you can do in life is that when shit happens, that you just accept it. You accept it and you go, all right, okay, here we go. Let's see what manifests from this. That is the greatest thing you can do, because when you're in resistance, you slow down the energy. You're in the problem. So the problem and the solution have different energies. So you're not able to flow, to go with that flow and allow for new things to take place, allow for new energies to take place. So acceptance is number one, the best way to transfer energy, to change energy. So if you were to look at your judgments, your perceptions, and your beliefs, if you realize that all of your judgments are, based on that past story. So if you've got a past story about a certain person in a certain way that they looked, and you had an experience or a trauma with that person, then when you see someone who looks like them, you're going to have the same judgment and perception. And then those feelings are going to be evoked. That's often we come from like that trauma response. Like we're coming from a response of a wound, and we create from that wound. And that's why we have cycles in our lives. And that's why we create the same shit over and over again with different people, because we have the same judgments. We have the same wounds. We're coming from the same energy. So the number one thing, of course, is to heal, to go within and heal. Lots of podcast information on that if you go back to my old episodes on healing. The trauma one was really good. I think that was episode 40. Yeah, episode 40 on trauma and how to heal those wounds so that you can start becoming that deliberate creator, so you can start creating from now and not dragging that past shit with you. So you can just like cut it off. I'm done. I'm done feeling that. I'm done creating that. I'm done, having that a part of my life because I don't want to do it anymore. And a lot of that is hinged on your story, right? So what are your stories? What are the stories that you tell about yourself? What are the stories that you tell about your finances? Like what is your financial story? Is there never enough? Is there, do you have a lot and you're always worried about losing it? Like what's the financial story? Because that energy around it is creating the feeling inside of you. And that feeling is actually the manifestation. So even if you're not totally getting physical evidence of it, like you always have enough, there's always money there, but you've got that underlying feeling of lack inside, the lack is manifesting in your feelings, not necessarily in your reality, but in your feelings, which is your reality, right? So it's not manifesting in your financial vision because you have enough, but it's manifesting within your body so that it steals your joy. It makes you miserable. It creates worry and anxiety for no good reason at all. So that's a wound. And I would look at that. I would go within and I would journal about that. I was actually going to get a journal out and I didn't do it, but I have Live Life Goldyn journals. They're manifestation journals. I'm going to put the link in the show notes of all the stuff I have available in my store now. And you can get yourself a Live Life Goldyn journal, which is infused with intention and activation and creating and manifesting and creating that life that you want. So getting super clear with, releasing these wounds, releasing these traumas, and then getting super clear about what is it that I want to create and who do I need to become to create it? What do I need to wake up like every day? What do I need to say? Where do I need to go? What feelings, because the feeling is the manifestation. The truth is, like, what feelings do I need to have about myself to be the person I say I want to be? That's identity creation. If I'm feeling less than, if I'm feeling bad about myself, if I'm feeling like, I've got these limitations, if you've got any kind of like diagnosis about yourself, like either mentally, physically, emotionally, any kind of diagnosis, that is a limitation. You are putting that limitation on your life, and that is the story that you're telling. So you keep creating evidence from that story. The simple story of I am not free. They're taking my freedoms away. Huh? What? I am free. I am free to think. I am free to believe. I am free to create. Change your story. When you change your story around that stuff, you will see evidence of it. It is pretty fantastic. All right. So those judgments, perceptions, and beliefs of that story are created from the past, but they conduct it now. They emit a signal and they tune you into a frequency of right now. So you are creating right now. So when we started coming into more abundance, when we started trusting and believing, there was a different flow of feeling. There was a different feeling. I wasn't so anxious about money. I wasn't so constrictive about money. I actually had a very peaceful energy about what we were doing and what we were creating because it always worked out, you guys. Like hundreds of times I would see this financial thing work out and money would come from very unexpected places, and then I would just go, oh gosh, we really are okay. And this really is a co-creative partnership. These miracles that happen, the synchronicities that happen, they come from you, but they come from your ability to invite in, activate, trust, and believe in that co-creative energy of creation. That you are a co-creator, that it's not just up to you. You just need to have the energetic piece of it, the vibrational piece of it, the feeling of it. And if you are living in a lot of fear and you're living in a lot of struggle, this may sound like kind of impossible, but it's like these incremental shifts, right? So it's like when something happens to me, let's say, my bank account is minus. I wake up in the morning, I check my phone. This has happened to me many times, and my bank account is minus. How am I going to feel about that? You got to take a step back And instead of going into your whirlwind of emotions, that addiction to emotions, letting your stomach drop, getting miserable for the rest of the day, because that's the shit that keeps it all away from you. That's the stuff that slows down the energy and makes it harder. So what can I do? What choice do I have in this moment? So do this when you have things happening to you that have happened over and over and over again. Stop. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, if I want to manifest this differently, how do I need to feel? And then just take a couple deep breaths and let that answer come in, because you've got to respond differently. If you want something different to happen, your response needs to be different every time. So it's really up to you. You are a powerful creator. If you are just coming into believing this stuff, I have found in people's journeys, when they first recognize universal law and manifesting, a lot of cool shit happens, because it's like all of a sudden I feel like the universe or our guides or whatever, that non-physical energy is like, woohoo, here we go. I got all this stuff just waiting, amassing, just waiting to be invited in and to be in the belief system. And then, man, stuff just happens. Like when we first realized this, we would have like 10 incredible manifestations a day. And we also had really strong desire. So recognize this. When you're in a really strong desire field, like the shit is hitting the fan, the finances are really bad, maybe you're in foreclosure, maybe you're in bankruptcy, your desire for the solution is so strong that when you start putting yourself towards it, when you start tuning your frequency a little bit more positively, you're going to see change. And this isn't about thinking positive. This isn't about talking positive. This isn't about thinking positive. It's not about that. If you're in that kind of realm where you're like, oh, I just need to think positive, you probably have experienced shit not working out for you and thought this positive thinking bullshit doesn't work. And this is why. You've got a lot of momentum in the other direction. And then what you're doing is you're on the train towards worst case scenarios, and you're trying to stop the train and go in the other direction, right? It's just, there's so much momentum. And that's why I'm saying this is incremental. This is not, I need to go from being depressed to being joyful. It's too far of a leap. This is like, I'm going to start reaching to feel a little bit satisfied. I'm going to start reaching to feel a little bit of gratitude. Just getting yourself up a little bit, those little tiny shifts is what's going to help you to start tuning your frequency, and to do it in a way where you're not trying to take this big leap so that you end up missing the mark, because you weren't really solid in it. So the incremental shifts is what's going to help you to get more solid in it. So if you're living a conditional life and you're allowing your feelings to hinge on what is happening, realize you've got a lot of momentum. So if shit is happening and it's not great, it's just because of the past judgments and momentum you have, and those little millimeter shifts like, I trust that everything's going to work out. I'm going to take some deep breaths. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to get myself in a higher state of consciousness as much as I can, so that I can clean the slate, so I can clear the slate. And being a conscious creator, like super conscious, means that you're not necessarily playing Nazi with your thoughts, because thankfully every thought we have doesn't manifest. I think I shared that last show. Thankfully, right? Because if it did, we'd be like having demanifestation, things. Like we'd have to figure out how to stop doing shit. No, but what it does is every thought evokes a feeling, which emits you into a station, a radio station, that big radio station in the sky, right? And as you tune yourself into those frequencies, you get more and more of it. So as you start to tune out of the shit, out of the stuff of the worst case scenarios, and you start going, all right, I'm going to back up. I'm going to get a little neutral about this. Sometimes you have to get neutral, where you're just like, okay, I'm going to relax. I'm going to let go, and I'm going to allow to see what happens next. I'm going to allow to see where the energy is calling me next, instead of trying to bang things and push things into place. I'm going to look at my story. So I've got some stories here about your different subjects of your life, right? So we've got all these different things in our life, our relationships, our money, our children, our families, all of this stuff that we're creating stories around. So if you've got a financial picture and you've got a lot of struggle around it, where there's never been enough, where you don't have a real strong belief system that you are a, deliberate creator and that you have the ability to create abundance when you decide, right? You don't really have that belief because you don't really have evidence of it. So how can I feel abundant if my bank account doesn't say that I am? And the way to do that is to look around you, at things that are of abundance. The sunshine, the snowfall. I don't know. Do you live somewhere cold? Snow, like when it snows, holy abundance, right? Holy abundance from Mother Nature is the snow. Look at those little tiny snowflakes, little teeny tiny snowflake. And then look what it creates. Holy shit. I never even realized that. I'm so resistant to snow at this point in my life, but it's beautiful. Like if I remember, snowstorms are it's the most quietest time on earth when you go out after a snowstorm. And if you consider that each one of those little snowflakes is different, by the way, and is created, and then you look at what it creates. We used to get 3 to 4 feet of snow sometimes. Holy shit. I wonder how many snowflakes are in that. That is an abundance, right? An abundance. If you look at the abundance of food in your fridge. Right now, my fridge and my freezer are stocked so full because we have people coming. It's amazing. The abundance of love that you have the ability to give and receive. And maybe you don't have that right now. Maybe, your story around yourself and your life and your friends is that I don't have a tribe. I went through this, for the first 5 years I was here. I felt very much like I was trying to find my tribe. And every time I connected with people, it just didn't work and it didn't work and it didn't. And I just kept trying. And I never wrapped the story, which I see a lot of people do. I've actually seen my kids do it, where my people are not here. I've never done that. I just kept going, I guess. And I spent a lot of time alone, And I was okay with that because I recognized that time alone was necessary and important to my spiritual growth. Oh, this is a time for me. This is the time in my life where I'm going to need to just ebb, that ebb and flow of life. I'm going to need to ebb. I'm not super busy right now. I've got a lot of time to meditate. I've got a lot of time to write. I've got a lot of time to be reflective. I've got a lot of time to decide how I want this life to play out, and got really clear on my visions for this stuff. Okay. So that if you're going through that right now, check your story. If you're in a situation where you want to find your significant other and you're like, there's no good people. I hear this all the time, especially at my age, for, late 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, there's no good people left. I'm like, are you kidding me? First of all, people are getting divorced at a crazy ass rate. So there's new people on the market all the time. Then there's widowers, right? That's awful to say, but it's true. New people on the market all the time. So what you need to do is just get yourself ready for that and believe that there's someone out there for you. If you don't believe there's someone out there for you and you believe that you are destined to be alone for the rest of your life, that's your story. And you are going to conduct from that story. So if that's not the story that you want, then you've got to let that story go. And you've got to trust. I tell people all the time, I'm like, especially I hung out with a lot of single women. And I'm like, if I'm in your life, because they'll look at my marriage with my husband, which has been, a long, long history, 36 years, I think we're on now. And we're so in love. We are so in love, and it's so true, and it's so rich, and it just gets deeper with every year. If people look at that and they feel that jealousy, I'm like, do not do that. Do not do that. And if you're my friend and you're making me feel bad about my marriage, trying to make me feel bad about my marriage, we're probably not going to be friends for very long. I say, if I'm in your field, I am evidence to you that this exists. It's not just for me, people. This life, this abundance, this joy, this love is not just for me. I don't think that I would be doing this podcast if I thought that it was just for me. I believe it's for everyone. And because I believe it's for everyone, I connect with people on that level, and I create that belief system with them. And just a little sidebar, I'm going to just hop real quick to my new challenge coming up. I just decided the date today is going to be January 11th, 2022. What a great way to start, right? 111122. I love it so much. And 2222. Oh my goodness. Like, that's fantastic. I'm going to create. And I think, so what I've decided this morning is I'm going to have a women's group and I'm going to have a men's group. I'm going to pull this men's group together. I just decided that this morning because I'm like, I know I've got a couple out there that are really ready to go. And I'm ready to go. Oh my goodness. I'm so ready to go. I believe I'm going to have a marriage one this year too. I'm probably within the next couple of months, I'm going to launch a marriage program because I'm freaking so excited about that. And if I have my husband on board, that'll be even more bonus. So yeah, I'm going to start a new Ignite the Fire Within challenge. What that is we are going to take every single area of your life and we are going to fine tune it to what you are looking to create. We're going to up level you in every way. I've brought about 20 women through this so far, and the results have been astounding. They are all still in these groups with me. We're doing subscription now, so it gives you access to me. The programs are, they are abundant. You've got to step into and you've got to up level if you want to do this with me, but it gives you access to my work. We do energy release work. We do emotional release work. We do all sorts of up leveling into the identity creation of what you're looking to create. This is the year. And I couldn't be more excited. And I couldn't be in a better place in my life to, help people transform, because I'm just so in the flow, and the excitement and the ideas are coming like massively. So I want to share that. I want to share this. I want to activate other people. The other piece of this is I'm doing subscriptions now for the podcast. So if you're getting a ton of value, I would love to see that. I would love to have a little exchange with you. So there's a $5 tier and a $20 tier. My $20 members are going to be VIP members. You're going to get stuff for being a VIP member. So you'll get bonus episodes, you'll get activations, you'll get emotional releases that I'm going to share. You may even get products. Who knows? Who knows what I'm going to do? But I'm really pumped, and I'm excited to see the exchange of value. I've got lots of people listening, so it'll be really cool to see who is accepting the value and getting the exchange. Because if we're always taking shit for free, this is the thing that I've learned through going through stuff, humbling myself to have to ask for money, humbling myself to, but being in the expectation of people always giving you stuff and you just receiving and not having an exchange of energy is not the way to abundance. I'm telling you right now, the exchange of energy is really important. And that's why I charge a healthy amount to be part of these groups with me, because the exchange of value is huge. When you put that kind of money down on yourself, it's not about me. It's not about if I'm worth it. I know I'm worth it. I know this work is worth it. It's about the value you put on yourself. And when you put that value on yourself, it pays off big time, big time. So that is the group. It starts January 11th. If you are interested, I do transformation calls for that, where we actually do a transformation. So you're going to get energy release work. You're going to get something shifted for yourself, and you're going to do that in that call. And then in exchange, I charge $250 to $300 a session for myself. So in that exchange, I just share the program with you to see if it's right for you. So there's a big value there. There's a big value in the transformation call. And I would love it if you did the transformation call in the intention of doing the group with me, not just to get something for free, because that's shitty and that feels shitty. Okay. All right. Super duper. Moving forward. Okay, so we're on these stories, these shitty committee stories. That's what they are. These are stories from the shitty committee. And when you're listening and you're tuned into that shitty committee, which tells you why you can't do things, it activates all of your limitations, you will actually just keep yourself very stagnant, and you'll keep yourself stuck in a story that continues to play out and just becomes your life story. And why would you want your life story to suck? Why would you want your life story conducted by the shitty committee? You would not. And I am going to help you change this. Okay, so other things that if you have issues finding love, there's worthiness stuff in there. I'm not worthy of love if you don't love yourself. If you want to create something, you must become it first. So if you feel like you don't have enough love in the world, you're not giving enough love. Yeah, you're not being enough love, okay? You're shrinking. You're dimming your light. You're not going out there and giving and receiving love to create that flow. You're sitting maybe in your home believing that there's only you and only you alone. And you can get out of that. You can get out of that story, you can get out of those limitations incrementally. I'm not telling you to just jump outside and start making friends with people on the street. It's not about that. It's those incremental belief systems that we need to work on. We need to chip away. We need to heal. We need to come into a new belief system and a new story. Issues with your children, I threw this in there because this is a big one that I've worked on a lot this past year, is my stories. I feel disrespected. They're always taking from me. Okay, this is a boundary talk. I have a whole podcast on boundaries. But if you feel disrespected from your children, are you being respectful, to yourself, and are you being respectful to them? Oftentimes we want respect from our kids, but we don't respect them. We're yelling at them, we're throwing commands, we're being disciplinarians, commanders in chief. We're not really recognizing their journey, and we're just putting our shit upon them. So that disrespect piece always comes from us. So ask yourself, am I giving respect? If I feel disrespected in my life, that's an energy that I've tuned into. So am I giving respect? Look at that. Because am I being it? Am I being respectful to myself and to others? Always focused on what they're doing wrong. So I had shared, lately I feel like I can't say anything right, which is a story, right? I caught my own story. Holy shit. So just being quiet and working on that story within my head, really helped yesterday. Yesterday was such a great day. It was a greater day than we've had in a long time. So it's just loving her. It's just loving them and accepting them where they are. My husband and I have this new saying, bless their hearts. Like whenever people do shit and we're just like, really, we're like, oh, bless her heart, bless her heart. My grandpa used to say that. So it's very near and dear to me. He would always say, bless your heart. And so when you do that, you take yourself out of the frequency of the story, of the bullshit, of all the stuff that you don't like about them, and you put yourself in a different frequency. And in the beginning, it may feel kind of condescending or a little sarcastic, which we're really good at sarcasm, but it does shift you because it takes us out of the bitching with each other about the children, and it puts us in a different frequency of just loving them, accepting them, they are who they are. And we've done a great job. We've raised some really amazing human beings. And if we look at their good qualities, if we focus on what's good about them, we're going to see more of it. Right? Right. God bless the parents of teenagers. All right. So your story, where does your stories come from? So they come from past experiences. They come from your parents. Most of your belief systems were created at the age of 5, but they also come from your mind and that mechanism of the mind to work on problems, that mechanism of the mind to keep you safe and the same. So if you are busy in judgment, if you are busy in a perception about someone, you will not expand and grow. You also won't connect and create really solid relationships with someone. I had someone a while ago, this was like maybe a year or two ago, and it was somebody I met at the gym, and I made a total perception of what she looked like and what she sounded like, and I just thought she's not smart. Got to know her, and she is fantastic. And we are so on the same plane of expansion and growth. And she's been a huge light in my life. And I was like, holy shit, did I have her wrong? So be careful with those judgments and perceptions, and get in, relationships with people where you're open and accepting. And instead of just putting something on them, you're experiencing them at their full capacity because you're not putting and wrapping a story around them. You're allowing yourself to let people show you who they are in a higher frequency. Because if you're making those judgments and perceptions, they may start showing you what you believe about them, and then you won't be able to get evidence. That was an interesting thing that happened, that she was able to kind of overcome my judgments and perceptions, but it's because I'm open, because I didn't make this snap decision about her. And I actually ended up going to a party that she had, and I was so floored by all the people there because they were so loving and welcoming and kind. So it changed my whole thing, but only because I had an opening. So if you're used to being super constricted, super rigid, and just making these like black and white decisions, you're not allowing for new considerations. You're not allowing for new energies. If you have made decisions around this world right now and you have wrapped a story of drama around it, and that it's never going to get better and the next year is going to suck too, please, please hear what I have to say. Make new considerations, make new intentions, and get stronger in your determination to let the shit go that's causing you misery, that's causing you to feel that way. If you want to create something new, we have to do that. If you don't have the capacity to consider another viewpoint, you close down all the pathways of miracles, of manifestation. You close down the pathways because you shut yourself off from it. Because you've made that judgment, you've made that perception, you've made that belief, and boom, that's it. It's done. Let's open ourselves up. Let's open up our minds. Let's consider. There might be another point of view here that makes sense to us. There might be another point of view. There might be, like, now the truth is so up to our own perception like never before. It's like for a while I was going, I don't even know what to believe. So if I don't know what to believe, like if I don't know what the truth really is, so like I'll, consider these conspiracy theories. I don't get too far into them. I'll consider what's happening in the world, maybe, what's coming across my Facebook feed because I don't listen to the news. I might consider someone else's point of view, like my hairdresser. We have different point of views on this stuff, and I'll consider what he's saying. I won't shut it down, and I won't tell him that he's wrong, and I won't even really share my point of view to the point where I'm trying to convince him of something else. I'm just open. And I'm like considering the point of view and just kind of letting it air out. I don't need to fight anybody on their point of view, because when someone believes something, they always have evidence of it because they're conducting from those belief systems. And when you come up against them, you actually create more of a constriction in their field to ever consider what you're saying, because you're going against their beliefs and what they have evidence of. So it's freaking a waste of energy, So opening up your mind, how do you do that? Meditation, creating that space, working on that snap reaction, that moment of judgment, that quick to respond, that quick to react, where you have no say. This is why you think you have no power over your emotions, because you're making these because you're living in a reaction, possibly living in a trauma state. When you create that space and you go, okay, hold on. Let me consider what other options am I not considering? What other solutions could be? Like when you ask questions like that, you activate that co-creative partnership and answers start to come, because you're not stuck in the problem. You're not deciding that there's only a problem and there's nothing we can do about it. So you move into, when you create that space, you move away from habitual thinking, which is habitual creating. That habit of thought. I'm in a 1 year no beer group where they talk about alcohol a lot. And I did an energy session with this woman the other day. She did one for me. And she said, yeah, the alcohol thing, it's just a habit. It's just a habit of thought. And I was like, oh shit, yeah, you're right. And if we catch the habit in the beginning of the thought, we don't end up drinking. Seriously. Like it seems simple. It is simple. So that habit of thought, right? Like if you have a tendency to go into misery, or if you have a tendency to go into worry and anxiety, it's just a habit, and it's an addiction to those emotions. Because remember, we get those hormone downloads, we get those chemical downloads. So if we want to break the habit, we've got to create the space, and then we've got to get better at deciding versus responding. How do I want to feel? I do this all the time. How do I want to feel? What's the story? What's the story I'm wrapping around this? And is the story I'm wrapping around this going to create what I want, or is it going to create more of what I don't want? That's it right there. Reactions will create the same energy over and over and over again. It's a call to heal. Your reactions, those triggered reactions, are always a call to heal. And when you decide to start healing, when you decide to start releasing these addictions to emotion or your addictions to drama, you're going to have a time when you need to walk through this stuff, and it may feel like it gets a little harder. That's why my groups are great, because I've got these little mini communities that I've created where you have these private groups, and we can support each other and we can lift each other up and we can get each other through these moments. Really important to have support when you're going on through a healing journey. Habitual thinking is so easy. It is so easy because we've got these neural pathways that are well worn in our minds. We've got the traumas that are evoking those wounds that are evoking the same feeling over and over and over again. Eventually you just get sick of this shit, or you have such a huge trauma happen in your life that it really wakes you up. I have a lot of women in my group like that, where it really woke them up to, I can't do this anymore. It's a good thing. It doesn't feel like a good thing at first, but it's a good thing. So then you have these massive traumas happen where you're like, I got to make some changes. And then you start awakening, you start getting clear, you start wanting to meditate, you start wanting to know more about yourself, and you want to heal. But those habits of thought are like well-run paths in your head, and they're easy to dip into. And once you dip into them, it's like a roller coaster ride. You're going for the ride, and the momentum becomes more and more and more. And that's why these thoughts can be hard to break, because you've got so much energy around them. Like when you have something really big happen in your life, it's the only thing you can think about, the only thing you can talk about, even though it's not what you want. It's practicing those incremental shifts, the moment by moment by moment, taking your power back, reclaiming your power, and saying, I've had enough of misery over this shit. This happened for a reason. I'm going to see the good. I'm going to move into a new place in my life. I'm going to reclaim my power. But sometimes it has to happen incrementally. And then other times, there's just these shifts that you make that are pretty fantastic. When you become a deliberate creator and you start really understanding universal law, it gets easier. I promise it gets easier. So break free from your story, get one of my journals, start deciding, start writing it down, start becoming a deliberate creator, start working on your mind training game. Mind training is where it's at. You train your mind, you create your life, because your mind is what starts the engine of your emotions, right? And emotions are energy in motion. So once you get to the point where you've got emotion, you've got stuff moving. It's that quantum wave, right? We'll go back to quantum physics a little bit. So you've got the thoughts, you got the thoughts, they start evoking feelings, and the wave starts to come out. And then you've got the beliefs, the judgments, the perceptions, and then that wave starts to break down into particles and become physical matter. That's why there's room. There's room between your energetic feelings and your vibrations and your physical manifestations. Most of us give up before we see the physical manifestation. Most of us don't give enough attention and enough energy to what we desire, and that's why things don't manifest. So you got to ride with the wave. See the wave right there? All my stuff has the wave on it, because the wave of energy is where it's at. It's where it's created from. That zero state awareness, right before the ocean is about to kick up another wave, right? That's another abundant thing. The ocean, the waves, they constantly come, they wash away. As that wave comes out and you stay true to your desire and you stay excited about it and you get yourself in the receiving mode, you put yourself in the receiving mode. With the manifestation journals, as people order those, if you contact me, I will give you a little form on exactly how to manifest. I'm not sure if I can put it in the description of the thing. I don't think I can. So I will send you a little PDF. If you reach out to me at livelifegolden@gmail.com, reach out to me, or on Facebook, and I will send you the little PDF of the exact manifestation process as you're writing these things in this activation journal, manifestation journal. So cool. They're really cute too. I loved them. I love the quality. The quality is great. All right. So your response is the biggest factor when you are creating. How you respond is everything, because your response is what creates. It's not what happens to you. Everyone thinks that the law of attraction is what happens to you. Why did I manifest this? Well, why do you think you manifested it? How do you feel about yourself, right? Do you think you're a shitty creator? Is that what you think? Are you listening to the shitty committee? No, it's not what happens to you. It's how you respond to it that actually shows you where you are vibrationally. It shows you where you're at. So as you respond in kindness, as you respond in love, as you respond in a non-triggered state, you will create differently. It was funny the other day, yesterday I think it was, my husband had it must have been a reel of Justin Bieber, and he was talking to a guy who funny, Justin Bieber comes to my town from time to time and like goes to the movies. So funny being in Orange County. But he was shopping with his wife, and there was a photographer, and he just walked up to the guy, and he was so chill and so cool about it. And he was like, listen, we're just trying to shop. I understand you're trying to do your job, but we just really want to relax and just have fun and just shop. And like, he was so like in a non-triggered state. He was so, and I'm sure he's had lots of practice, right? And the guy was like, yeah, you're cool, Justin. Okay, I'll leave you alone. Where a lot of people, a lot of the celebrities, I'm sure it's really hard and I'm sure it's easy to be triggered, just feel that triggered state. I remember listening to, it was a Coffee and Coffee and Cars with Jerry Seinfeld, which I just love that. And he was talking to Zach Galifianakis. I can't even say his name, but he was talking to Zach, and Zach was saying like how hard it is sometimes to have people, filming his family and coming into his and Jerry said, dude, like this is part of the job. And Jerry Seinfeld's so cool about it. Like he always says hi to people, and he's always really kind. And it's like, he's been doing this for a long time, but it's like it's part of what we signed up for. So when you're in that acceptance and you're in that love and you're just like, it's all good, then you're going to create differently than if you're in resistance, punching people in the face for taking pictures of you. So it's like, it's all about that response. I don't know why I just went on the celebrity thing, but I could imagine it's challenging to do that, but it's working on your field. It's deciding what story you're going to wrap around things and then working on your field. What do I want my field to say? Right? Your field is everything that comes to you. So, how do I conduct myself? How do I conduct energy in my field? Am I pissed off all the time? Am I frustrated all the time? Am I in this the world is ending energy all the time? Or do I want to reclaim my power and decide? And it's going to take a little time, right? It's going to take some release work. It's going to take some healing work to get yourself really where you want to be, but it's incremental. I'm not asking you to take that big shift. The times that we take the big shifts is when we've gone through like a trauma and we're taking a big bounce. If you think about the trampoline, the lower you go, the higher you go. So that bounce is conductive on, if something really big has happened and it's that time in your life to awaken. That's what those big traumas are. They are your time in your life to either continue the cycles of shit or to reclaim your power and decide how you really want things to play out. Okay. Oh, so awesome. Such a great conversation. All right. Let me see if I forgot anything. That zero state and awareness is where everything is created from. Having a handle on your emotions is a really big piece of this, and that's part of your healing journey. Do you want to create life and make those decisions based on, trusting that you are creating your own reality? Many people will say, like, I'm a realist. Like, whatever's happening is it. Like, I just believe whatever's happening, and I don't believe that I have that life is very random. That just, that's fine if you want to believe that. But for me, that kind of sucks. It's like, that makes me feel very powerless. Like, I feel like that comes from a powerless energy and an unworthiness energy where what we want doesn't matter. Fuck, man, we gotta, woo, I really said a big swear there. What, whoop, Seriously, people, like, we gotta let this stuff go if we want to really create. If we want to be a deliberate creator, we have to believe we have the ability to create. And we've got to show ourselves. We've got to create evidence of that by deciding, by deciding how we want our life to go and then asking and getting real about that identity piece of it. What would I do if I was that person already? If my dreams were already realized, how would I feel? Would I be in misery? Would I be in lack? Would I be pissed off when my bills come? Not if you want to be wealthy, not if you want to be abundant. you would feel good. You would just pay your bills and you would feel good about it. You would trust, you would have faith, you would feel good. You wouldn't be constrictive. You would feel abundance. You would look for abundance. You would be in higher frequencies, because when you're in higher frequencies, money is an energy, abundance is an energy. So it's in those higher frequencies. And the better you can feel, and the more you can feel joy, the more you're going to be able to create abundance in your life, because it's up there. It's up there in those higher energies. All right. So no wounds equals no story. When you've really worked on your wounds, you have the ability to not have a story wrapped around everything. So recently I was thinking about something in my business, and, just being kind of dissatisfied about something, someone I'm working with, feeling a little dissatisfaction. And I thought, okay, is that about me? First of all, is that about me? That's what I always ask. Like, where is my stuff in this is like one of my favorite questions to ask, because that makes me reflective, and that makes me go, okay, if this is creating in my field, I have the potential to be infusing energy into this. So what do I believe? Well, from the beginning, I've kind of believed that they're not giving me what I need. Well, whose fault is that? Right? I can ask for what I need. Do I feel small? Like, that's a big piece of working with people and getting, the exchange of value of what you feel you're worth. Do I feel small? Do I have to work on that small feeling inside of me? Do I have to work on that unworthiness feeling? Like, I'm not super big. I'm not paying a lot. I don't, where is that? So working on that framework. So I've been working around that story and letting that story go and unattaching from it. And I'm excited to see what happens from it, because I have already received a lot of value, and I have to look at the value I've received instead of being dissatisfied about what I haven't received. That's the shift. What do I have? Instead of thinking about what you don't have. What does this person give me? What do I get from this relationship? What wonderful things can I tune into about this person? When you're in a marriage, I think that is probably one of the biggest downfalls in a marriage, is when you start hyper focusing on what you don't like about that person. Hyper focusing on what you don't like about that person, and then it just gets louder and louder and louder. And then everything they do has that shitty story wrapped around it. So that's when people get into situations and they're like, I can't even do any right. I try to do something right and it's still wrong. And it's because of the radio station. It's because of what you're tuned into. Something I've been working on with my husband, and I've got to share it because it's freaking hilarious, is he chews gum really loud. I'm going to throw it out there right now. My girlfriend thought it was hilarious and sent me like a whole 6-pack of gum for him. But he literally will just chew so loud. And we used to laugh about it, because I would be like, if I say anything, he'll chew louder. This is how he is. He vacillates between 5'12" and 51. So we're cracking up about it. And then, recently he doesn't want to eat at night. He's really been working on his abs. Good Lord, this man's abs. So he doesn't want to snack at night. So he's been chewing gum when we watch TV at night. And let me just tell you, I got to let this go, right? So I just kind of sit there in a little bit of amusement now, more than ever before, instead of annoyance. So when he does it, I go, I can be annoyed or I can be amused. And amusement feels so much better. And then before I know it, he's spit the gum out. So it's all what you decide about it, right? I remember there was a time when he was snoring. He doesn't really snore anymore. And if you have a snore, God bless you. That's tough. But there was a time, and he was probably drinking a lot, because when he drinks, he snores. And I remember just waking up in the middle of the night, and instead of getting annoyed, I would think, God, I'm so happy he's breathing. It's just a shift, It's just a millimeter shift on what you are deciding about a person and what you are deciding to feel about what they're doing. Because it's all about you. This journey is all about you. You have casted these characters. This is your circus, and these are your monkeys. So what you decide about each monkey is how that monkey is going to conduct in your life. Not saying that you have monkeys in your life or that my husband's a monkey. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying what you decide about people is what they're going to show you. They're going to show more of that to you. And if you believe that people are just the way they are and there's nothing that you can do and they just suck and you're powerless against it, go back and listen to the show again. Seriously. Like, we've got to get rid of this belief. Anything you're dealing with, the shitty boss, the troubled child, all of that stuff is there for your expansion and growth. And it's there to show you that you do have power to conduct, and you can reclaim that power anytime you decide. I used to say take, now I'm saying reclaim. You can reclaim your power, because the power is within you, and it always has been. You just haven't been woken up to it, and now you are. And I'm excited for that. I'm excited for that journey within you. All right, so a couple of questions you can ask yourself just for journaling purposes and to get you in the element of changing your story about you. Let's make 2022 about changing that story, and let's create from the momentum of right now. So we've got like a week left. How about we change that story now? Okay. So what am I good at? What do I love about myself? What kind of energy and feelings do I want to feel this year? How can I show up more? How can I show up as the person I am looking to become more? How can I be more of that? What do I want to create? What do I need to let go of? What ways do I always think the same about this? And how can I think differently? So powerful, so powerful. So I love you all. I'm super excited. I'm going to put the links below for the subscription to subscribe to the podcast. You can just do like a little monthly thing. You can even just throw a donation to me if you've really created a lot of value from this show. I would love to see that. And it would help me to grow this more and to steer away from ads. I'm hoping to steer away from ads. I don't know, as the road goes down, I don't know what's going to happen, but I really hate commercials and I really don't want them on my show. So the other link I will put is to the store. I've got coffee cups and shirts and hats and really cool stuff. The manifestation journals, I would start there, because I think those are really going to help you to conduct this year and to set some real solid intentions. If you are looking to be part of my program, Ignite the Fire Within, get in touch with me soon, because my schedule is good. My schedule is full. I love my schedule. So get on that with me and let's book a transformation call. So I love you all. I'm excited, beyond excited for this year, and taking y'all along with me. And share the show. Please share the show. It's growing and it's amazing. I also have a Live Life Goldyn page on Facebook that you can be part of that community. That's where I post all my shows and my stuff every day. So I love y'all. Peace.